The first time Alexa saw let's say, my equipment, she fainted, dropped straight to the floor, plop, like a sack of cosmic potatoes. And to be fair, I was close to blacking out too, but for completely different reasons. Let me set the scene. My name is Rubén Conde. I'm a cargo pilot, one of the good ones. I've spent half my life jumping from one star system to another, hauling everything from engine parts to exotic spices that smell like nostalgia and trouble. It's a lonely life, honestly. My only fixed address is the cockpit of my ship, my stubborn reality. So when my old friend Ambassador Krill invited me vacation on his planet, Sonio Prime, I didn't think twice. Krill and I met during the war, an ugly civil conflict on his planet years ago. I was young then, just a rookie soldier in the human peacekeeping forces. And them? Well, they're small. Like 1 meter tall if they stretch. At my height, I was a giant among them, practically a walking legend. Krill, who was a general back then, and I became inseparable. Battle-forged brothers. So there I was on Sonio Prime, and the planet was breathtaking. Imagine mountains glowing purple at sunset, forests so dense and green they look solid, and air that smelled like damp earth and something sweetly alien. A paradise. But every paradise has its serpent, right? Or, in this case, its lizard. I was exploring near the ambassador's estate, feeling like some old-world adventurer, when something bit me, right on the leg. A nasty little reptile, some color-shifting thing, that lunged at me right after changing hues. A chameleon lizard. I found out later, the pain hit like liquid fire, and then nothing. I dragged myself back to the ambassador's house before the world went black. I woke up days later, or so they told me. I felt like I'd been used as a ball in a galactic soccer match. Feverish, disoriented, and with a small, dark-haired figure beside me, swapping out a cold compress on my forehead. She had these striking eyes, metallic silver, like they were analyzing my soul. That was Malaxa, the ambassador's daughter, and she was all professional. "Mr. Conde," she said, voice soft but firm, "you've had a severe reaction to the Lacerda mutabilis venom. We're administering an antidote, but human physiology is complex. I'll need to monitor your vitals closely. Call me Reuben." I croaked, my mouth drier than the Gobi Desert. She nodded without smiling. "Reuben, please don't try to move." For the next few days, our interaction stayed clinical. She cared for me with terrifying efficiency, a brilliant xenobiology student, and I was her most fascinating case study. But I couldn't help noticing the intensity in those silver eyes, the way her brow furrowed when my fever spiked. There was more than professional curiosity there. And then came the blanket incident. I was in one of those feverish half-sleeps when my body, completely beyond my control and probably confused by alien venom, decided to react in a very masculine, very obvious way. Let's just say a certain tent formed under the sheets. Malaxa, during her routine check, noticed. She frowned, confused, probably thought it was a muscle spasm or some other weird symptom. With her usual clinical detachment, she approached and, without hesitation, lifted the blanket to investigate. Her silver eyes went wide. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She just stared at my tool, my bloston, as they call it in her language. And then, like I said, she fainted, collapsed backward with a dull thud. The shock cleared my fever instantly. I bolted upright, heart hammering. "Malaxa!" I shouted. No response. I grabbed the water pitcher from a nightstand and splashed her face. She blinked, dazed. "W, what happened?" "That's what I'm asking you," I said, trying to discreetly cover myself. "Are you okay?" She sat up, rubbing her head. Then she looked at me, and for the first time, I saw a deep blush spread across her pale cheeks. It's your Bloston," she whispered, like it was a state secret. "Yeah, sorry. Sometimes it's got a mind of its own. But why'd you faint?" She took a deep breath, steadying herself. In my species, biology is straightforward. When a female sees a male's Bloston in an erect state, it triggers an immediate physiological response, an irresistible urge to, well, reproduce. "Okay," I said, not quite following. and that makes you faint. She shook her head. Asterisk, normally, no. But yours, Reuben, in my species, a 15-centimeter blossom is already considered impressive, a sign of great virility. Asterisk, she swallowed hard. I did a quick scale calculation. Yours must be about 30 centimeters. I nodded, more or less. It's too much, she concluded. My nervous system couldn't process it, like trying to cram the Big Bang into a microchip. Total overload, a complete short circuit. I burst out laughing, a rough, slightly painful laugh, but a laugh all the same. And to my surprise, after a moment, she smiled too, small, shy, but real. Something shifted between us then. From that point on, formality went out the airlock. Our conversations turned personal. We talked about the differences between our species. I explained that for human women, just seeing a guy ready for action wasn't enough. Then what do they need? She asked, genuinely curious. Oh, where do I start? I sighed. Conversation. Trust. Making them laugh. Listening. Remembering their favorite color. Not leaving wet towels on the bed. Putting the toilet seat down. And sometimes, even that's not enough. It's complicated. Malaxa blinked. Human females are very inefficient, she declared. My species' biology is far more logical. The male's physiological response triggers an identical, instantaneous reaction in the female. Quick, simple, effective. Yeah, I said dryly, but at least our women don't faint. Jokes became our daily bread. Glances lingered a second too long. An accidental brush of hands when she passed me a glass of water sent electric currents neither of us could ignore. I learned about her culture, their rigid traditions, her dream of exploring the stars as a xenobiologist. She was fascinated by my blunt humor, my directness, and yes, my giant physiology. The tension built day by day, like a rope stretched to its breaking point. One night, as we watched Myloxonio's twin moons rise through the window, the silence grew thick with possibility. I turned to look at her. She met my gaze, and without a word, I leaned in and kissed her. It was tender, full of all the curiosity and affection we'd built. Perfect. But just as it deepened, she pulled back sharply, breathing hard. Wait, she said, pressing a hand to my chest. We should stop. Before your blossom rises again, and we need to call a resuscitation team. Right then, the door burst open. Ambassador Krill, back from a diplomatic trip, stood there, taking in the scene. Us too close, faces flushed. His expression hardened. Malaxa, to your quarters, he said in his general's voice. Reuben, we need to talk. When we were alone, his tone softened, but the worry was plain. Reuben, my friend, he began, I respect you. You saved many of ours in the war. But my daughter isn't a trophy. She's delicate. Krill, I'd never hurt her. Not what I mean, he interrupted. I'm talking biology. Malaxa told me everything. The incident. He rubbed his forehead, weary. Reuben, you must understand. On this planet, that attribute of yours isn't just anatomy. It's a biological weapon. A tool of that size can trigger unpredictable reactions. I'm asking you as a friend to be careful. Ensure your blossom doesn't rise on this planet. Understood, friend, I said. It was the strangest promise I'd ever made, to suppress a physiological reaction that, let's be honest, no one controls voluntarily. The next morning, I woke up feeling off, different. I looked down, an icy panic shot through me. My blossom had shrunk. This wasn't some illusion. It was visibly smaller. I sprinted to find Krill, shame burning my ears. He called a medic who confirmed my fears. A side effect of the venom, the doctor explained. It attacks tissues with high expansion potential, causes atrophy. We'll need more antidote. Before it shrinks further, Krill cut in alarmed. Then a heroically stupid idea, the kind only love inspires, hit me. No, I said, startling them both. Let it. What? Krill gasped. If this continues, how small could it get? I asked the doctor. He ran quick calculations. We could control the process. Stop it at, say, half its original size, 15 centimeters. 15 centimeters. The perfect size for a Milixonian. Do it, I said. Let it shrink to 15. Rubén, you'll have a microblossom by human standards. Krill protested. But I'll be compatible with your daughter, I said, meeting his gaze. I love Malaxa, Krill. Truly. And if this is the sacrifice I must make to be with her without sending her to ER, I'll do it. Krill studied me. Then, slowly, he nodded. So be it. The process was bizarre, but it worked. Hours later, I was equipped with a 15-centimeter blossom. By human standards, modest, very modest. But by Milixonian measure, perfect. Malaxa and I could finally be together. I rushed to find her, hard in my throat. I have a surprise, I said, grinning. What? She asked, curious. Close your eyes. She covered them with her hands. In one swift motion, I dropped my pants. Okay, look. Malaxa opened her eyes. Look down. And her expression wasn't what I'd hoped. No joy, no relief, just disappointment. Something wrong? I asked, stomach sinking. Well, she hesitated. Now, compared to the rest of you, it seems small. I froze. What? 15 centimeters is fine for our species, she explained, like she was lecturing. But for a giant like you, the proportions are odd. I couldn't believe it. You're joking. First, I'm too big. Now, after I mutilate myself, I'm too small? Pick a side. I'm sorry, Rubén, she said. I can't help it. I was livid, humiliated, and above all ridiculous. A man with a microblossom. The fury revolt. Just then, furious shouts erupted outside. A mob of armed Milixonian women stormed the estate, screaming curses. What's that? I asked. The Furies, Malaxa whispered, pale. A radical faction that hates my father. They must have tracked us here. I thought the war ended years ago. They didn't get the memo, she said. Rubén, please, you have to help. I laughed bitterly. Oh, now you need me? After rejecting me twice over size? What am I supposed to do? Flash them my disappointing new blossom. Malaxa's eyes lit up with a terrible idea. No, we need the old one, the big one. And how do you suggest we do that? It's too late. There's a way, she insisted. But we have to hurry. She shoved me onto the medical cot still in the room. Lie down. The front door shuddered under pounding fists. We know you're in there, traitors. Malaxa, this is insane, I protested as she began manipulating my modest blossom. And, to my shock, it responded. It rose, majestic, firm, and exactly 30 centimeters. Sorry, I gasped. That's its new limit. Won't go further. The mob's roars grew louder. The door groaned. Don't give up. Malaxa cried. There has to be more. Then she locked eyes with me. Silver gaze blazing like a supernova, and said the last words I expected. We need suction. I stared. Suction? Malaxa, this isn't a clogged vacuum hose. But she was already in scientist mode. Kneeling between my legs, she analyzed the problem like a xenobiological equation. The venom inhibitors created a molecular barrier, she muttered. Manual stimulation isn't enough to break the stasis, but sustained negative pressure could trigger a decompression cascade. English woman. Ignoring me, she leaned forward, and then I felt it. Not like before. Not just touch. This was physics. A wet heat, a focused pressure. Like nature itself had concentrated its force on a single point. A lock I never knew existed had found its perfect key. At first, nothing. Just overwhelming sensation. Then a rumble. Deep inside, the Venom's nanobots faltered. Their chemical grip weakened under her relentless assault. Malaxa didn't stop. She was a woman on a mission. The door splintering faded from my mind, replaced by a growing power. A chain reaction. A nuclear fission in my pants. My ears buzzed. The room tunneled. Then, Snap. A deep, resonant release, like a rubber band stretched for weeks, finally breaking. My back arched. My eyes rolled. For one glorious, dizzying second, I was a universe. When I came to, the world sharpened. I looked down, and there it was, back from exile, more majestic than ever, 30 centimeters, proud, defiant, glowing slightly, as if basking in its resurrection. And at my feet, Malaxa, unconscious. She'd fainted, victim of her own success. The front door shattered. Showtime. I stood, pantsless, blotched and erect like a pirate ship's mast, and strode forward. The Furies charged in, then skidded to a halt, their eyes locked onto the monument. What? I asked calmly. Problem? Silence. One Fury squeaked. Don't look. It's a psychological weapon. Too late. One by one, like dominoes, they collapsed, overcome by sheer anatomical majesty. Epilogue. A love beyond scale. After the crisis, I carried Malaxa to medics and made a decision. I left. Love shouldn't hurt this much. First I was too big, then too small. A roller coaster I refused to ride. Weeks later, back on Earth, I tried to forget those silver eyes. I failed. Then a knock. I opened the door to Malaxa, but not the tiny Malaxa I knew. This Malaxa stood shoulder high to me, nearly 2 meters tall. How? I stammered. After you left, she said, I realized my mistake. I love you, Rubén. So I took a modified version of the lizard venom, combined with blossom extract from your treatment. She grinned. It made me grow. Now my people shun me, call me the giant. But I don't care. I just want you to be together human style. No fainting, no short circuits. Just compatible. Tears welled in her eyes. Forgive me. All my bitterness melted. I swept her into my arms, spinning her. Of course, I said, and kissed her. That night, for the first time, no one fainted. No calculations. No overloads. Just two beings, finally on the same scale. 1 year later, we sat in an Earth doctor's office, staring at an ultrasound screen. Malaxa was pregnant. Everything looks perfectly normal, the doctor said. Strong, healthy fetus. I couldn't resist. Leaning in, I whispered, pointing at a suspicious bulge on the scan. Doc, quick question. Is its blossom normal size? The doctor blinked, adjusted the image. Mr. Conde, all percentiles are standard. Nothing to worry about. I exhaled, pure relief. Malaxa smiled. And I knew everything would be okay. Absurdly. Perfectly. Okay,